What is up? Welcome back to computer science. What did we do? Big picture, high level overview yesterday. What did we learn? Well, we had class, okay. And that was going over arithmetic, Python expressions, some syntax, compound operators, math module, random module. What did we read about yesterday? Okay, we were reading about the end of representing text using like ASCII, but Unicode really. Decimal encoding is code points. ORD and CHR functions. And then we started reading about style guidelines. Style guidelines change throughout different organizations, but it's important to keep it uniform within a given organization, so that's easy to read and be interpreted by other users and programmers. So we're reading about some of the syntax, or some of the white space style guidelines that at least the textbooks uses, and that is each statement on its own line. Empty statements or empty lines are used, but really only for separating different sections of code with different conceptual underpinnings, or different like conceptual chunks of code. Typically there's a space between most things, and for essentially child statements and parent statements, you're going to have 4 spaces indenting, not tab, not 2 spaces, 4 spaces. So I think that's basically everything. I don't know what that shit is always. I don't know if that got it or not, but just like high-pitched humming. Maybe not. I don't know. That's annoying. Whatever. Oh my gosh. Right, okay. You can use opposite quote marks within string literal without having to use an escape sequence. Style guidelines. All right, so I'm gonna jump back into style guidelines and then be back to recall later once I'm done for this session. All right, so we ended up finishing 6.2, which is on style guidelines. So for naming functions, variables, and parameters, we use snake case, which is like lowercase words with underscore to separate the words. For variables and parameters, also, we're going to typically use 2 words, at least 2 words that are descriptive. There's some exceptions for like mathematical variables and indices. Yeah. For constants though, we use uppercase, camel case, like all uppercase. No, not camel case, snake case. Uppercase, all uppercase words, full caps with underscores to space between words. And then for classes, we use camel case starting with the uppercase letter. And then for miscellaneous style guidelines, we use double quotes instead of single quotes to denote a string literal, and each line is less than most often less than 100 characters. Then we started 6.3, which was about strings, I think. So a string is a sequence of characters representing textual data. A string literal is a string that's defined in the source code of the program by using quotes. And a sequence type is I think it's a data type in which like it's a sequence of sequence of items, each with its own index, aka position. So the position of each character in a string has an index, and starting with index 0. Empty string is a string with 0 elements. All right. Sequence type, a type that orders a collection of objects to do a sequence from first to last. So strings are a sequence type. Okay. That's it for now. I went ahead and checked Canvas since we're a little ahead now, because we're supposed to get the practice problems that we do. We have multiple choice questions in class with our peer instruction like class model. And so I wanted to finally get the questions, but he just uploads the code of the correct answer instead of actually asking the question. So it's like, where's the value here? I'm pretty annoyed, but it's whatever. It is what it is. We got plenty to do with all these textbook lecture activities. So we'll start dealing with that stuff when I have more free time. AKA, I'm really ahead of schedule right now. I'm just a little ahead of schedule, pretty much right on time. So that's it for right now. I'll talk to you later today. See ya. Welcome back to another episode of, no, it's not another, it's computer science. We're finishing up the episode from earlier. Okay. Just high level quick overview of earlier today. Syntax, naming, miscellaneous. What was after that? Dang it. I don't know. What was the next section about? Did we even start it? String basics. String literal. Sequence type, indices, positions, empty string. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna jump into learning more, and then I'll be back to recall after. All right, we finished that section. That was on string basics. We talked about string concatenation, which is basically adding strings together. String must be added to string, whether that's a string literal or a string variable. And the concatenation operator is a plus sign. Strings are immutable, so you can't just update specific positions or indices in a string variable. You've got to reassign the variable. The next section is on formatted strings, also known as formatted string literals, which are also known as F strings. You denote them by using an F in front of the first quotation mark that denotes the string literal, and then within the string literal you can add curly braces, and the stuff within it are typically numbers, I believe. These are evaluated as the expression is running, and it's like brace. This gets replaced with whatever it's evaluated to in the final expression, or when the expression is evaluated. We've already kind of seen this when we were working with floating point numbers, and we wanted to round to a certain number of decimals or cut off at a certain number of decimals. Placeholder expressions are what's in those curly braces, as well as they're also known as replacement fields. Oh, I think we learned, We can find the length of a string using the built-in function in Python, len. And then we can also basically indicate a specific character by using brackets after the variable. So the first index is 0. So if you wanted the first character of a string literal within a variable, you'd say you'd call the variable. You'd say variable and then bracket 0 bracket. Okay. Negative numbers actually do work. They are valid within these brackets. However, the difference is that you're reading from right to left rather than left to right. So -1 is the last character in the string. All right, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.